So.
Yes, Bruce.
Hello, Madeline.
Hello, Bruce.
We're here to talk about Moya.
Yes.
And who is your daughter?
Yes, she's my youngest.
And she had a fear of dogs.
She did.
And
that's gone on since she was a small child and she had a bad experience with a couple of dogs. So over the years, really, it sort of limited everywhere she could go or where we could go as a family. She couldn't go to the beach without, issue about that. If you went for a walk, she was always watching out in the distance. If that's a dog, is it on a lead? And really, it did stop her doing a lot of things. As she grew up then into her teenage years, she couldn't go to friends' houses. I think actually it kind of limited her world, because when anything was suggested, the first thing she did was assess the level of risk of a dog being present. Mm. So she was quite a competitive youngster. She was involved in a lot of dancing sort of things. So she would be up on stage, she'd be very competitive and did well in school. But I, as a mum, I always thought that she wasn't reaching the levels in everything that she could. For someone who did well in those things, she was reserved in so many other ways. For instance, if you stopped at the shop, you'd say, Moya, nip in and get whatever groceries, and she was like, no. And you'd think for a child who could dance on a stage and do well in school and, generally do well, that those sort of things would have been easy for her. Mm. But they were the things that were the everyday things that were not easy for her.
Because there might be a dog there.
There might be a dog. So, a time comes where you kind of go, you've got to get over this, shake yourself out of it. But it was way deeper than that. Mm. So she, in more recent times then, she said herself, I have got to get over this. I can't go anywhere. I can't go to friends' houses. They want to meet up to get ready for discos. They want to go out to the cinema. I can't join in. I can't go. I'm so terrified. If she did, take a risk to go, let's say, to the cinema, I had to leave her there and pick her up so that there'd be no danger that she'd have to walk to another person's car, because I would understand that this was a problem and I would make sure to make it easier for her. Mm. So she said herself she had to get over it, and she thought if she exposed herself to dogs, if she went to a friend's house with a dog, that she could do that. But before we even got to try and put any plan in action, she needed to go to a tutor for one of her GCSEs. And tutors for this particular subject were very hard to find, and eventually she got this great tutor would take her. But the tutor had a dog in the house and in the room where there was a group being tutored together. And I was driving to the tutor's house every week, and on the way there she'd say, I'm so nervous, I could be sick. And I'm thinking, apart from you don't want your child to go through that, I'm thinking, we're paying for this tutoring every week. What could you be learning when you're so afraid?
Tense, yeah.
So the tutor was very good, and they didn't have the dog in the room, but she knew the dog was in the house, and there were young children who might open the door any time and the dog could come in. Plus the fact she was mortified with embarrassment, because she was aware that these young children could carry this dog around and they were as happy as Larry, and she was terrified. So it was getting embarrassing for her as well. So that was the point at which I met you, and you suggested giving her a treatment. And she came, for an hour and a half to you?
It was an hour.
And as an example of the way she had gotten, I had to sit outside the door because she was nervous even of coming into you. Mm-hmm. She'd gotten herself into this nervousness when there wasn't even a risk of a dog.
Yeah.
A shyness or a timidness, and wouldn't, for instance, if she came into the shop with me, for instance, she wouldn't speak, she wouldn't ask for the pound of sausages over the counter. There was a general nervousness that it was disappointing to me to see this girl who could dance on stage and do all this outward stuff to becoming just so downtrodden with the nervousness that came from the dog thing starting to spread out everywhere in her life. So anyway, she came in for the treatment with you. I was outside and I could hear her voice, and I knew she was finding it tough to be in here and explain it all to you. And we came out and she had your tapping system to practice. And, well, to be fair, I didn't really expect any miracles. So off we went home. But we stopped in our local shop on the way. And I always did this anyway, even though I knew often she'd say no, she wouldn't go into the shop, or she'd be looking in the wing mirror and checking around the back, and you know that there would be no chance a dog would spring out from anywhere. But on this occasion I just said, chanced my arm again. I said, Moya, nip into the shop and get A, B and C. And she just went. And I sat in the car for a second afterwards going, well, that was easy. And then saw in the wing mirror 2 people coming with 3 dogs, 1 on a lead, 2 loose. They were heading for the door of the shop as Moya was heading for the door of the shop, and my heart nearly stopped. And I said, she's going to come running back any second. She will come running back to the car. But she didn't. I went in, got the things, came back, got in the car, said nothing. And I'm thinking, surely she noticed the dogs. And somewhere on the journey home she said, Mum, did you see those dogs going into the shop? And I said, yes, I did. You better text Bruce. I walked into that shop and I was not afraid of the dogs. I knew they were there. I could see there were 2 of them weren't on a lead, but I didn't feel traumatized by it. So that was that day, and I can say now, with months have passed now, the dogs are not really, she doesn't love dogs. I don't think she ever will, but some people don't. So she's not going to deliberately go looking for a dog to pat it or be in the company of it. But it's not the issue that it was. She can go about her life. She's been to friends' houses. She's even done sleepovers. She never went on a sleepover and always used the excuse of the dog, but she wouldn't go for a sleepover in a person's house that didn't have a dog either, because of that nervousness. Well, there's nothing of that anymore. She's fine with that. But I can honestly say, since then, her confidence has grown. She has flourished beyond my expectations. A few months have made a massive change to her. She is now doing everything that she could possibly do. She's just back. She went, shortly after she saw you, she went to Lourdes on a trip as a helper. She was in London about 3 weeks ago on a dance trip, and she is going to Kenya in January. She has been fundraising for the Kenya trip. Yesterday we had a big community coffee morning, invites to everyone in our local community. We had it in a social club. She was there speaking to people. She had organised it. She was making coffee. She was talking to friends and neighbours. She was just like the young adult that she should be.
Yeah.
But I mean, 6 months ago, there was no sign of that girl. So I have to say, I am just so happy for her. She is flying. She's even teaching dancing now. The teacher that she was teaching her has asked her to take classes. And at one point recently, another fundraising thing that she was involved in her school, she had 70 first years in a hall, and she was on the stage teaching 70 first years to dance with a microphone. That amazes me. The confidence and the joy and the fun, she is just blooming at the minute. So I don't know if it's all down to this treatment, Bruce, but certainly when the dog issue diminished, her confidence soared and she is flying now.
That's so good.
I am so happy to say that.
Even though she's running rings around you now.
She is running rings around me. I am never off the road taxiing her here and there, but I am so happy to be doing it. Once you get me started on that subject. Yeah. Well, I have to say, from my perspective, my life is so much easier. You know, because she was a constant worry.
Yes, of course.
Constant worry. And when she went anywhere, and you know, we'd figured it out that it would be okay, I still worried. What if a dog appears? What if someone brings? And people were, well, some people were okay, but a lot of people were unsympathetic. They'd say, oh, the dog won't touch you.
Don't be so silly. Yeah.
So I always had the worry that while, you know, even if you've had the conversation with another parent and said, I have to say, you know, Moya has a real fear of dogs, and can you know, I know you have an Alsatian out the back, but can you please not? they'd say yes, but when my back was turned, they'd bring the dog in and go, well, the dog's in the house all the time. It's not a big issue. The dog won't touch you.
Yeah.
So I would be at home saying, I hope they understand the seriousness of this. And there was always the risk that they didn't. She needed to get over it for her to be able to get on in life. And it seems that she has.
Very good. Great, thank you very much.
Not at all.
And I'm so glad for her.
When I think about it, Bruce, I am so happy.
Yeah. Because, I mean, I saw some other people, a video. My mum had told me about it ages ago. It was on ITV, you know, the Holly Willoughby and the guy thing. And they had some hypnotists on there. And I hadn't seen it originally when my mum told me about it. But they had a woman in her 30s, I think, with a dog phobia. And it was a similar thing. It really held her back.
It really did. Yeah. It was so, like, I know I'm biased, you know, but, you know, she was doing so well in so many things. Yeah. And I could see, you know, we're getting into the stage now where she's choosing, she started her A-levels and she'd be choosing a college course. If she had hung on to that fear over the next couple of years, how would she go and live away from home and maybe have to go to England? How would she do those things and put herself out there? But I think now it'll not be a problem because she really, my goodness, in the past few months, it's shocking where she came from so fast. That change has been so rapid.
But credit to her as well, because she's taking advantage of her freedom and doing things.
She is living life to the full.
Yeah,
I cannot say she is in everything that she has the chance to be in. She's there.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Bruce from NeuLyf.com. Please introduce yourself in the comments below. You can help me spread more peace and health and prosperity in the world by subscribing to this channel, liking this video, sharing it with other people. Remember to click the bell to get notifications of new videos. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. Also, let me know what topics you'd like me to cover next by commenting below or clicking on the simple survey link in the description and putting stars by the topics that most interest you. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.